For 5 years, 16 to 21, I got no gal, alright? That means no kissing, no nothing. And I basically became a virgin again. But from February to March this year, I think I went on like 4 dates. I started approaching women every weekend with my mates, got a bunch of numbers. And yes, I did kiss a couple girls. Alright, I feel like a weasel saying that out loud, but I have to tell you this to give you some ounce of credibility. I pulled myself out of 5 years of inceldom and started finding success with women again in a really short amount of time, about a month. But what did it require for me to get to this point? I'm 5'5", so it definitely wasn't my height, alright? It wasn't my body fat percentage that made me successful either, because I was at maybe 20% plus at the time. I was broke, so how did I still attract women? It's because there's a lie I used to tell myself for all of those 5 years that stopped it from happening. And in this video, I'm here to burst that same bubble for you and share with you how any guy, any size, can find success with women. And I'm not just saying that to try and trick you or brainwash you. So let's learn about it now. I'm not going to waste your time in this video. There's one main point I want to get across that took me 5 years to realise. And I want to burst this bubble that my younger self had every single day that held him back from getting these beautiful moments too. First of all, when I was 19, I used to say a lot of bullshit to myself about what I required first of all to start attracting women. Once I'm lean, I'll start attracting women. Once I'm in a good career, I'll get women. Once I got a 10 out of 10 body, I'll get... Hey, you get what I'm saying? Now, am I saying that none of these things make you more attractive? Of course not, right? We would both be way more attractive if we were in far better shape, made more money, and had some status or credibility that stems from our careers. That is obvious. I'm not going to lie about that. The problem is, when I focused on these things, hear me out, as being the key that opens the door to attracting women, I was being completely blind to the core skill that you haven't heard of yet required to attract women. This core skill is the real key that opens the door to meeting, attracting and dating women, and no one talks about it in self-improvement bullshit, alright? The core skill to start attracting women is this: overriding your fear of approach. Overriding your fear of approach means developing the voice in your head whenever you see an attractive woman when you're outdoors that says, it scares me to approach her, but I'm going to do it anyway. So think of it like this, mate. You're here worried about all of these other things locked away in the basement. Your body, your money, your looks maxing, or whatever's trending right now. But you haven't even unlocked the core skill, the key that opens the door so women have access to this basement, so they can see all these great things about you. How can you use your tools when the shed is locked? Summary of the point, alright? Let me say this again. The core skill needed to approach women and unlock success with women, intimacy, love, is the skill of overriding your fear of approaching them. That's the main thing, the top of the thing. Once you unlock this skill, then you can finally see whether your current state, your money, your looks, your body, your confidence, all that stuff that you worry about so much, you can finally see whether it will attract someone. Chances are you can definitely attract at least 1 girl out of 10. You can get 1 number. Am I saying she'll even text back? I don't know. But how will you know until you develop the core skill of overriding the fear of approach? The thing is, mate, I bet I'm right when I take a guess and say you've been hiding behind self-improvement or your career or looks maxing or anything like that as an excuse to say, look, I won't start approaching women yet, I'm so focused on work. Or like, once I've achieved X, then I'll start. No! I'm saying this because I used to do this all the time, and I still do sometimes. I have to catch myself when I do it. Let's just be honest, mate. You're probably aware of the fact that, look, if you're a guy that has never approached a girl first, and you're still having conversations with your mate or yourself and saying, look, I want to be at my best before I start approaching women or focusing on women, there's half truth to what you're saying, I know that. But you'd also love to experience intimacy right now. I don't mean just shagging, alright? We're not shallow here, alright? I mean knowing what it feels like to be confident enough to approach a girl, look in their eyes, have a fun conversation, set dates and learn about them, as well as yourself. If you've never done that, not even once, because there's a wall of fear, then the least of your worries right now is getting to 10% body fat. Now, you might be thinking, well, this is a bit extreme. I've never approached a woman before, but what if I focus on getting in great shape and making great money first, and then I start learning the skill of overcoming fear with approaching? Yeah, look, I'm not saying you can't, you might be different to me, but this is what I did exactly 3 years ago in 2021, and the results were not good, mate. So let me share this with you. In 2021, I got into the best shape of my life, probably around, if I'm guessing, 13 to 14% body fat, maybe lower. I looked after my skin and hair really well. I dressed fine, alright? I was out a lot. But here's the thing, I had never approached a woman first before, so I wasn't even in the habit of talking to girls when I went out with friends, whether that was a pub or whatever. During the peak of my fitness in 2021, I approached 0 girls. In fact, I approached no girls the entire year because, hear me out, during the peak of my fitness, I still told myself, yeah, but I could still look better though, I'm not at my best. So I mentally never allowed myself to think about girls, and that's the trap. Let me just insert this, I didn't write this down in the script, but we are never good, accurate analyzers of what we currently look like, what our current value is. So when I look at myself right now, I mean, I'm not in good shape at all, but I probably see myself worse than the girls would see me. And guess what? After I came down from the peak and I put on just a little bit of weight, I was like 5 kilograms heavier, I suddenly felt bloody disgusting and I didn't want to approach girls again. How you look, feel, and how much, right, and how much money you make is separate to the skill of approaching a girl despite feeling fear. So finally, I'm going to sum this up with you, mate. I'm saying this out of love and care. It would serve you, like it did me, a lot to develop the skill of overriding your fear of approaching women right now. Because in the future, when you are the best version of yourself, it will be easier to approach women. And you can finally have that intimacy that you've been craving for years and desperately want because you feel like no one can connect to you, okay? And recognize that while it's genuinely admirable to want to be near your best before you attract women, I get that because I say that to myself too. If you've never even tried to approach a girl in real life and you're telling yourself or your friends that you're waiting until an arbitrary point to start talking to women, then that statement is at least 60% coping. I'm saying that out of love, right? It took me 5 years to realise that the core skill involved with having success with women is not being 10% body fat or rich or perfect. It's overcoming the fear of approaching and doing it anyway, despite knowing that you are not perfect right now. I really hope you soak this in, because if my younger self were just slapped across the face that's not even funny. Why did I do that? Right. No. Oh my god. Because if 19-year-old me was slapped across the face and told this, and he somehow listened, then he'd probably be in a secure relationship right now because he'd have way more experience than me with women.